Hey ladies, today is Sunday, January 31st, 2021, 81 weeks postpartum, and just updating you on my situation as far as trying to conceive baby number two. So, Michaela is 18 months old, actually almost 19 months old. She'll be 19 months old on February 8th. And so it's basically roughly a week from now. And so I figure now it's a good time to start trying to conceive baby number two. And I did do IVF the first time. I did not really want to do IVF this time right away. I was thinking maybe it would make sense to try to conceive naturally. I didn't have a period for 18 months, and I also wasn't trying to conceive. So I just got my first real postpartum period on January 20th, which is funny because January was when I first started really wondering where the period was and started really trying or thinking about trying to conceive. So that is the background for those that do not know. And so since I am starting to try to conceive and I don't want to start IVF, with the virus, with COVID-19 out there, I just don't want to go through everything you have to go through with IVF, which is constant doctor visits. And you also, I mean, that's true of any fertility treatment, not just IVF. But they involve constant doctor visits, and it's actually not the shots that bother me. I don't mind injecting myself with the hormones. I did it last time. It was fine. My husband actually didn't want to give me the injections. I injected it myself. For those that are worried about that, you can do it. You can inject all the injections yourself. I did it. It worked out fine. There's videos, and I've watched the videos every single time I did an injection, and it worked out perfectly. But like I said, but you have to go to the doctor pretty much every day when you're doing the IVF cycle. And even if you do become pregnant, you continue to go to the doctor for a while after to check your hormone levels, especially progesterone, to make sure it's increasing during the pregnancy. So it's a lot of extra doctor visits. And right now, I didn't want to do that. So I figured, let me try to conceive naturally and see what happens. So I bought some ovulation test strips. Now, like I said, I've only had one postpartum period, and that was January 20th. It lasted for 6 days. And so prior to having Michaela, my periods were roughly like 7 days. So I haven't seen much change there. But the thing is that I haven't had a lot of unmedicated periods in my life. Most of my periods have been medicated. And what I mean by medicated is not true periods. Like, I've had periods that were usually when I was on birth control, and those aren't true periods. Those are just, I guess they're called withdrawal bleeds when you take that placebo week, which is generally a different color than some of the other pills in your pack. When you take that placebo week, you start to get a period, and that's primarily because the hormone level drops, and that's really not a true period. And so for me, I started birth control very early in life. My first period when I was 12, and then shortly thereafter, I believe that same year, I started to get irregular periods that would last for like a month. And I don't know, I didn't say anything to my mom right away. I don't know why. I was 12. I think I was embarrassed. And so I finally mentioned it casually to her, and she was like, "What?" And we went to the doctor, and the doctor prescribed birth control pills to help regulate my period, and it did. And I remained on the pill until I was about 30 years old, that was, years of the pill. And at 30, I went and got an IUD. And some people don't get a period during with IUD. I actually did get my period every month still, with the IUD. And then it wasn't until I decided to try to start to conceive that I had the IUD removed. And I think I was about 33, almost 34 when that happened. And then, I started my IVF around 35 and had Michaela when I was 36. And, now it's 18 months later and almost 19 months later, and I will be 38 next month, or February, so which is tomorrow. So, not February starts tomorrow, but February I will be 38. So so I haven't had a lot of unmedicated periods in my life, or periods that were true periods. So this is the really first time, even when I did IVF, and before that, I wasn't paying attention to that. And when you do IVF, they take care of all your cycle stuff for you. So that's the point of the injections and all of that, and the constant monitoring. So it's really regulated, so you don't even have to worry about any of that. And you definitely don't even have to worry about time sex, because they take care of everything. You don't worry about sex. Actually, you don't have sex once you start your IVF cycle, because it may mess up what you're doing. So it's really interesting to now, for this first time in my life at almost 38 years old, that I'm really focusing on my cycle and what that means and how it works and what goes into it, because I never really have. So I feel like I'm just completely a novice here. And so I went and I bought some ovulation test strips. I bought 2 different brands. I bought the Clear Blue Advanced. As you can see, this is the digital, and it shows 3 different, it's a digital reader that reads a test strip, and it basically will show you, based off of a smiley face, whether you are at high fertility, or whether your hormone levels peak, so that your peak time to have sex, and basically that's ovulation. So you see there's 3 different symbols. This is just a circle, and the circle means low, and then there's a smiley face that I have not seen in real life yet. So I think it's flashing with the little lines around it, and that's supposed to be high, and then just a regular smiley face is peak. Like I said, I have not seen anything other than a circle yet, so that's low. Today for me is cycle day 12. I started testing at cycle day 7, I believe, and that was because basically the day after my period ended. And I didn't think I'd be ovulating then, but I'm so completely unfamiliar with these strips and the process. I decided to start a little early, and I don't know if that has made me more concerned or not, but I decided to start early to see how this would work and kind of get used to the strips. I have another brand of test strips. So this is just one I showed you, the Clear Blue Advanced. Now, the Clear Blue Advanced can be quite pricey for some people. This box I bought off of Amazon is around $40. You may be able to find it other places cheaper, but like I said, I bought it on Amazon. It's $40. Actually, before I show you the other strips, let me show you. So inside this box, there are 20 tests. So only 20. So it's another reason why it can be a little pricey. But you get the strips, and they come in a little package like this in aluminum foil, and you get the reader. Now I'm going to show you the reader with a strip still in it, because I did take the test this morning. So this is one with a strip still in it. The test is timed out, so you can't really see the result, but I just injected it. But it was basically a circle. After a while, the test times out, but it was a circle that said low. But this is what the test looks like once you ever strip in it, and this button is just to inject it. And this is the cap, the little purple cap. So what's in this aluminum foil here is the cap and the strip in the in a like plastic holder. So I'll show you that. This is what the strip looks like, and it's once you take it out of the aluminum foil. And this is a strip that I used, that I just took out of the reader, and is I don't know if you could see the dark line though. That dark blue line that you can probably see is the control line, and my line is like barely visible on these strips. Like, probably can't even see it in the video, but it's like really, really light. And that's interesting to me because today is cycle day 12. And so I'm using 2 apps in addition to these strips. I have two brands of strips, and I have 2 apps. I'll talk about this other brand of strips in a second. But the apps predict, based off of my period, that I would ovulate again this February 3rd. And February 2nd, the day before ovulation, is like the highest day. And then February 3rd is ovulation, and then it starts to trail off. So, based off these apps, now the apps, and I do log the test strips in the apps, but the apps are, I don't know what they're calculating based on. And again, I'm new to this, so I'm learning, and I'm just telling you what I've figured out, what I've learned from other people. I don't know if it's just an algorithm that the app is basing it on, but it's estimating based off of when my period started, when it ended, when I would ovulate. And so according to the 2 apps, and I'm using the Pre-Mom app, which is in connection with the other brand of strips that I haven't shown you yet, and I'm using the Glow app. And so both of those apps that are very consistent when it says my peak fertility should be and all of that, they both said that I entered a high fertility range on Friday, and that but the highest range would be like my highest fertility days would be this Monday, Tuesday, with ovulation on Wednesday. So you have a certain number of high fertility days. So for me, based on these apps, it started on Friday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are like all my high days with like the peak in there and all of that. Now, well, actually, the Glow app said that yesterday, that Friday and Saturday were medium days with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday being my highest days. But my point is, that aside, is that these strips aren't showing that. My strips are showing low. Now, to be fair, the digital reader doesn't have a medium day. It only has, low, high, and peak. Because medium, there's a medium, you have a better chance of getting pregnant than you would on a low day, but not as high a chance where you would on a higher peak. But this test is showing low. And like I said, you cannot even see I don't know, maybe it's showing up a little bit here, but it's a very faint line, the test line. And basically what these things do is that when you do a test, your test line, if it's as dark or darker than the control line, which you can clearly see on this test, then you are in your high and peak levels. So you need that to be as dark or darker. Mine is like barely showing. So that does make me wonder, is the app right on predicting my dates, or is this right, or am I doing this wrong? I don't know. They're just not lining up. So I will say that it's a little confusing, especially if you're new to this. And this is not something I ever worried about before, because the last time I tried to conceive, I didn't even think about it. And all ovulation and everything was controlled by hormones and triggering and all of that. And so trigger shots and stuff. So I was injecting myself with hormones, but I never worried about all the other stuff. Now we're just letting my body does what it does naturally, which is great. But now it's like figuring that out. I'm like, wait, what? Um, so now the thing is when to test and time to test. Now it's different for the Clear Blue Advance than it is for the other strips that I'm going to show you. The fact is that the Clear Blue Advance, when you read the instructions, says that you should use your urine after your longest sleep. And so that's basically your first morning urine. But everything that you'll read online says that first morning urine is not the best predictor of the your LH hormone surge or peak. So I'm not really sure why this one says that. So today was only my second time using the Clear Blue Advanced strips. My first time using them was yesterday, and I figured since the apps was saying I was in a high zone, let me check, because my other strips were still showing low, and I was like, maybe they're wrong. And so both strips showed low, but the apps are showing, medium and high. One, the Glow app is showing medium. The Pre-Mom app is showing high. So I don't know. Pre-Mom app doesn't really show a medium, so it's showing high. But again, that's just predicting based on the algorithm, I guess. It's not really predicting based on the strips, from what I can tell, because the strips are all showing low. But my understanding is that your LH hormone surges like 12 to 36 hours before ovulation. So it's the catching it. So that you're trying to do with the strips. So yeah. So anyway, like I said, when to test. So the Clear Blue says essentially use first morning urine. If you can't use that, then they say to use the next urine, which would be like your second morning urine. But everything that I've read online shows me that the LH hormone peaks in your body between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. So your first morning urine, like I said, would not likely be the most accurate predictor. So again, I'm not really sure why the Clear Blue Advance says to use that. But yesterday when I did not use the first morning urine. I usually test around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I try to test roughly around the same time. And I used the Clear Blue Advanced strip, and I also used the other strip, and they both came back with low. And then today I said, well, let me try to use the Clear Blue Advanced the way it says to use it. So I did use, not technically my first morning urine, because I get up. Sometimes I drink water and I'll get up in the middle of the night to urinate. So I used like my second morning urine, which was still like after going back to sleep. Like, I'm not going to take this test at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I went back to sleep, and then I, got back up and I used that urine. And it's still, this is the test I showed you today, which came in again as low. And like you can see, the line is really light. So based off of this test, it is showing as low. So that was using the Clear Blue Advanced strip pretty accurately. So, unless the strip is just not reliable, which I'm not saying that is the case, then, it's low. Now, I have not taken the other strip today so far, because while I'm recording this video, it's not yet 1 o'clock. Now, the Pre-Mom app pairs with these strips that I bought. Sorry, the box is open, so I don't want them all to fall out. Which is Brand Easy at Home, which is premom.com. And these are regular test strips that you dip in your urine. Well, without the reader. That's basically what the advanced strip is. You dip it in your urine. The advanced strip, you hold in your urine for 15 seconds, or if you're like actively urinate, you have to hold in a stream for like 3 seconds. But I find it easier to just collect the urine and dip it. These other, they come this other brand, they come in a pouch like this. Now these are a lot cheaper than the Clear Blue Demands. This box, I did not count, but it says on it was supposed to have 100 strips, or it did when I bought it. It must say it's somewhere on this box. Oh yeah, it's supposed to be 100 test strips, it says on here. And so that's a lot. And, you know, not that I just feel like I can waste them, but I have something to kind of play around with. And so you get the test strips in a little blue aluminum like I showed you. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to take a strip out. And this is what the strip looks like. This is what the strip looks like. Now, I've been writing on the back of the strips the date that I've taken the test, just even though I do log them in the Pre-Mom app, but I've been also keeping the strips in just because I want to like compare them visually to myself, other, you know, my own eyes. Now, this was a strip that a test that I took yesterday. This is the I tested technically 3 times yesterday. And then a Pre-Mom app, and says that once you enter the high or your high fertility range, with according to the app I am in, you should test twice a day. And so I've been testing around 1 p.m. and again around 7 p.m. I still haven't seen any highs on these. I have noticed that the later time that I test, around 7, always tends to be lower than the 1 p.m. So like those strips are lighter, and from the Pre-Mom app, it'll give you like a number range, and so I'll get like a higher number, not a high, but just a higher number when I test around 1, and then I get a lower number when I test around 7. So I don't know what that's indicating. Clearly I drop off at some point. So I don't know, but that's one of the things that I have noticed. You're supposed to find your pattern with this, and then, you know, in future cycles it's supposed to be easier. So I guess I'm trying to establish a pattern. But just to show you the strip again, you know, this is how you would dip it into your urine, and you dip it until the ink rises. You'll actually see ink rising on this as it absorbs. And I don't know if you can see the control line here. It's this little line right there. That's the control line. And my line, again, is very, very faint. It's right there. See if you can see that. It's very, very faint. But this is the second test that I did that day. And like I said, it was very faint. I'm trying to get my hands on the first test that I did that day to show you the comparison on how this, like, slightly darker. Again, I haven't reached the peak, so it's not going to be dark, just darker than that last line I showed you. So see, it's a little more visible. So again, this is the test, the control line, the darker one, and then here I am at, that's, well, I want to say second line, but it depends on how you're looking at. The line that's closer to the blue is the control line, and then the line that's right here further away, hopefully you can see that, is my test line. So that was earlier in the day at around 1 o'clock, and that one came in darker. Again, still not at a high, but just darker. So that's what I noticed. So yesterday I tested 3 times because I did those 2 tests with those strips, but I also did the clear blue because I was trying to see, and I bought the clear blue because I figured I would use the cheaper test a lot more often. But the clear blue test, I kind of got to test the cheaper test to be like, you know, a backup to see whether they were accurate. But then when I noticed that the clear blue test and the Pre-Mom test are both saying that I'm in a low, but the app is saying I'm in a high and I should be testing twice a day, I'm like, you know, I don't know. So I'm like, app, are you wrong? Like, I'm not thinking all these tests that I'm actually, you know, using my body's urine on can be wrong. So maybe the app is wrong. but I don't want to miss the ovulation, which I heard people sometimes miss it with the test. So it's just like, what? I mean, it's weird because although IVF was a lot of work in some ways, and then I didn't think about any of this. They called me every day. They said, hey, inject yourself with this much of this much of that. I did it. I went to sleep. Next morning, I went to the doctor. They they looked at what they need to look at. They took my blood test. They came, called me the next day, said, inject yourself with this and that. I did it. Like that was really it. Like it's like all hand holding. Um, so a lot of hand holding, and it was good for me. This is not hand holding. It requires a lot more um, being involved. I mean, you're just peeing on sticks, right? But like analyzing them and stuff like that. I know nothing, I'm doing my best. It's a little confusing for me. Maybe it's not if other people, and again, this is the first time I've ever tried it. I'm really still figuring it out. So don't take this video as like, oh, this is, the end all be all of how it works. Because I'm sure there is, a lot of other stuff. I'm just saying that the Pre-Mom app, which pairs with this test, these test strips, is showing that I'm in a high fertility range, not, at the highest range, which would start tomorrow. So we'll see what those strips look like. And again, I haven't tested today with these strips because it's not yet 1. So I'm still going to do these strips at 1 and 7 today. So that'll be another day of testing 3 times. I'm not sure if I'll continue to do the Clear Blue Advance in the morning the way that I have been. I mean, that's what it says to do. So I'm like, I can't really, I feel like I should follow the instructions. So maybe I should do that, even though everything I read says that that's not the best indicator. That timing is not the best indicator, but that's what it says to do. So if you don't do what it says to do and then you say it doesn't work, I don't know. I can't say that, right? I need to follow instructions. And then on the Pre-Mom strips, it says between 10 and 8. So I'm following those instructions. So, 3 times a day, I'm hoping I'll catch it. But the reality is these Clear Blue Advanced strips are pricey. And I don't want to just be wasting them on low days. So I was hoping to get high days. And I was thinking that maybe because the app was saying I was in high days, then maybe these other strips were just missing it, which is why I started the Clear Blue to see, okay, maybe I am in high and the other strips are missing it. But according to the Clear Blue, I'm in low. And according to the Pre-Mom strips, I'm in low. But the apps are showing a different thing. So I don't know, ladies. It is what it is. I'm probably overthinking it. It should be a lot easier than this, right? And a lot more fun. Especially, trying to conceive and trying to conceive naturally. But here I am like, what's this strip say? What's this strip say? What's this strip say? What's this strip say? And I'm just like logging in the app, and I could be a little obsessive. And so, it is what it is. If this doesn't work for how many cycles, I haven't decided yet. We'll see. I probably will just do IVF. A second cycle of IVF. But I figure, at least I did give this a shot and we'll see. I'm not counting myself out yet. I haven't even gotten a high or a peak. Or I'm at least looking for a high, even if I don't see the peak. But I haven't gotten that. So we'll see what happens. And last point is just about drinking water. Sometimes if you drink too much water, that can dilute the test. So I'm all worried about when to drink water, like the Clear Blue Advance. If you do your first morning urine, that's fine, right? So you're not even going to probably won't drink too much water before that. And then it says drink water naturally. Although the Clear Blue Advance instructions do say that once you reach your high, you should test more than once a day. It doesn't say how many times. It says more than once. So I'm thinking that you probably want to test twice. These strips are really expensive, so I'm not really sure I'm going to test twice with these strips, given that I have these other strips that I'm testing with. But my point is, that's once you reach a high on the test, you should start testing twice a day. But it says that you shouldn't drink water between 4 hours before your next time tested. So it's like, when can I drink water? When can I drink any liquid? So if you test in the morning and you're only using the Clear Blue, then you can drink water after that first test. And then whatever time you're going to test second time, you should give yourself like 4 hours before without much water, maybe a little bit, which is crazy. But these Pre-Mom strips say that you shouldn't have water for 2 hours before testing. And so if I'm testing at 1 for that, and then again around 7 is like, okay, you shouldn't drink water roughly 2 hours before those tests. So if you test constantly, you're not really drinking water. I don't know. Although the Clear Blue Advanced strips do say to drink water regularly, but like the 4 hours before your next test, you should like not drink as much water. But so yeah, I'm trying to, in the times in between testing, and I have like little windows where I can drink water. I'm like trying to guzzle in my water, so I don't know if that's diluting the test. I try to like not drink in the windows that have been set, which I've been doing 2 hours before the test. But then it's like, I don't know, did me guzzling water 3 hours before the test like dilute the test? Way too much to think about. I'm sure I sound crazy. I'm sure I sound like I'm overthinking it, but you just be mindful of the water intake. I don't even know what's the right intake. I'm just saying be mindful of it. So that's it. That's all I got. No news otherwise at this point. And quick update on Michaela as far as her everything with her. She had her 18-month visit recently, and everything was well. She got her last DTaP vaccination and her first hepatitis A vaccination. She didn't have any side effects. She's now 26 pounds 11 ounces, which puts her in like the 90th or 89th, but 89, 90th percentile for weight. She is 33 inches tall, which puts her over the 90th percentile in height, and her head size is 48 centimeters, which is over the 95th percentile. She has a huge head, apparently. So she's a big girl, but she's tall. So, and she's really solid. So, but she's doing well, and the doctor was really happy with her weight. My doctor likes a big baby, so she was really happy with her weight, and so she was happy to see she was growing like that. She says, I don't know how many words, couldn't tell you how many words at this point. She talks all the time. She went from not talking at all, and I was worried about it, to just saying everything, repeating, parroting things that I say, but not just that. She says words and says things that I'm like, how'd you know that? How'd you know to respond to that? So they are definitely sponges. They pick up and observe everything. So everything, even when you think they don't. So be mindful of that. And another thing is tantrums. And she had like the worst tantrum yesterday, screaming, crying, hyperventilating, choking, everything, snotting everything over some crayons. I felt it was time to put the crayons up. I took the crayons away to put them up, and she just flipped out. I tried to give her different toys instead of the crayons, and she hit them on the floor. She didn't want anything to do with anything, and she was just doing her own thing. And I was like, oh, you trying it. You are trying it. I'm not sure how often I'm going to deal with that. I'm not sure what I can do about it though. At this age, I want her to understand it's okay to have your feelings. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to cry, but, doesn't mean you're going to get your way. So still trying to figure out tantrums. I'll probably have to do a separate video on how I figured out how to deal with them, if I do ever figure out how to deal with them. And she has definitely given me a preview of what the terrible twos will look like. But that is it for now. Thank you for listening to me rant on about these strips. I will talk to you all soon. Stay safe. Be well.